Now, as some of you know, I used to live in England until recently, and I lived in a place called Farnborough with my wife Rachel and 3 kids. And this is an aerial shot. You can see there's St. Peter's Church, which is the church I used to be a youth pastor at. St. Peter's School, it was an elementary school that my children went to at various times. And there's St. Peter's House. You also see a sign that says police with flashlights. I'll tell you about that in a minute. St. Peter's House, which was like the parsonage where we used to live. And you can see it's surrounded by big trees. And at night, it was incredibly dark around the house. And if we ever wanted to go from our house over to the school, over to the church, well, it could get dark, and especially trying to find our way back. So when I first arrived there, I asked the church council if they could put some of those security lights up. You know, the ones that when you approach it, and the lights come on. Because I thought it'd be helpful so we could actually see where we're going. The council wasn't too quick on carrying out my suggestion. But what was interesting was, just a couple of days, in a sense, after this, well, we were woken up in the middle of the night, and we were on the 2nd floor, by all these lights shining against our curtains. It was like some sort of UFO or spaceship or something was coming to land. So I opened the curtains there, and suddenly my whole body is covered in lights. Moving lights, flashing lights, and you couldn't see past the lights because they were so bright. And so I go downstairs, put on my dressing gown, go downstairs, walk outside, and again, lots of lights around. And I realized the other side of these lights, well, there's a lot of policemen holding their flashlights. So, of course, I asked what's happening. And an armed robber had escaped or run away, I'm not quite sure what the story was, and had run across these church grounds. And needless to say, when I told the story to the council sometime afterwards, they were very quick on putting the security lights around the place, thankfully. So this morning, we're thinking about salt, and we're thinking about light. We're thinking about how we're called to be salt that preserves. We're thinking about how we're called to be light in dark places. Lights that show us the way when it's dark. Lights that give us that sense of security when we can't see. Lights that point us to Jesus. Last week, if you were following along, we were thinking about the Beatitudes. And again, this passage is part of the Beatitudes, part of the Sermon on the Mount, where Jesus is talking to a large group of disciples. And just pulling out some of those Beatitudes from last week, those blessed statements from last week. Jesus said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who recognize that on their own they are worthless. They need that hope that is offered by Jesus Christ. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness." Words that were really strong in hungering and thirsting. Because Jesus said, "For they will be filled." And the challenge for us to think about needing more of Jesus in our life. Maybe how can we read the scriptures more, or pray more, or meet together in fellowship together. And Jesus said, "Blessed are those who are persecuted," we thought last week, persecuted for righteousness' sake. Because of course, there can be a cost in being a disciple. It can be a challenge being a Christian today. We can face rejection. We do have to make choices sometimes that aren't always easy. And sometimes we look around and we say, "Well, where are our teenagers? Why aren't they in church?" You know what? It's tough being a teenage Christian today. It's tough living out your faith in schools and colleges. And we need to be praying and supporting our younger people, our children, our grandchildren, recognizing the challenges that they face. Last week, we thought about the impact of the world on Christians. This week, despite all those challenges, we're going to think about how Christians can be an impact on the world. How Christians can be salt and light And a key word as we go through this that I want you to think about is distinctive. How we are called to be distinctive. So, salt. Jesus' followers are called to be like salt. Now, I don't know whether you remember this fairy tale, whether you told it to your children or grandchildren, but there was once this proud old king, and for some strange reason, and I don't want to delve into this too much, the king asks his daughters how much they love him. And the first daughter said, "Well, I love you more than gold and silver." And the king felt pretty good about that. The second daughter came up and said, "Well, I love you more than diamonds and pearls and rubies." The king's thinking, wow, great amount of love. The third daughter came up and said, "I love you more than salt." And the king said, "You are banished from my sight." And on her way out, the daughter removed all the salt from the palace. So of course, the king comes to taste his food, and it's disgusting, and actually none of the meat was preserved because there wasn't any salt there, so it was all bad. So needless to say, he soon welcomes his daughter back and apologizes to her. But even fairy tales recognize the importance that salt is. Just putting it in context. Remember last week we were thinking about the Beatitudes, and there's the Mount of the Beatitudes up the north end of the Sea of Galilee there. And then you can see just along the west side there's a place called Magdala. And people knew at the time the significance of Magdala. Magdala is where the fishermen took their fish for their fish to be preserved with salt. So when Jesus is saying, "You are the salt of the earth," it's like this is a TV screen. He's pointing over to that place, and they're like, "Ah, yeah, I get it. Without salt, we're going to have a lot of smelly fish around." And if we think about our own selves and the uses of salt, if you grew up in the farm, salt had so many uses in agriculture. And then, of course, well, you're going to preserve the meat as well. Or out here in Minnesota, we don't like to put salt down on the ice. We prefer to put grit, but sometimes you have to put salt. We need it. And in the summer, you may even use salt in your swimming pools or in your water softeners. And of course, salt in our food is pretty important as well. Do you get it? Salt is important. Jesus is calling us to be salt. Who was first of all salt? Well, Israel. The people of Israel were called to be salt. They were called to be the salt of the earth. But unfortunately, they'd become like everybody else. They got too involved in the politics that was going on. Different factions were squabbling, quarreling with each other. There was fighting going on. How could the Lord God stop the world going bad if Israel had lost its saltiness? And then the followers of Jesus are also called to be light. Jesus said, "You are the light of the world." A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Again, Jerusalem, the city on a hill, it was meant to be the light of the world. But unfortunately, it had fallen short. And again, we remember that prophecy from Isaiah 700 years before Jesus came to earth. The prophecy that said, the people of Galilee, the Gentiles, they were once in darkness, but now they are in light, because light has come to them. And that prophecy was looking forward to the Messiah, to Jesus. See, before Jerusalem, that was the place on the hill. That was the place of light. But now Jesus is the light that has come into the world, the light that guides our way, the light that gives us hope and direction so that we can find our way home. But if salt has lost its flavour, then it's good for nothing. Salt must keep its saltiness to be of any value. And it's sad to say that sometimes Christians lose their distinctiveness, lose their saltiness. Maybe they've forgotten what Jesus has done for them, why they're following Jesus, or maybe other things come in and take up their time, distract them from going the way of Jesus. Maybe sometimes we're struggling to read a Bible and to pray, and maybe there's some ongoing sin in our life that we're struggling with, and we get drawn into God's way. And we get drawn away from God's way and we end up going the world's way. And Jesus said that when salt has lost its saltiness, then it's no good. And Jesus says, nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket. Again, if we think about it, it can be a strong temptation, can't it? Sometimes to hide our light, to put it somewhere else, to go and do stuff and live the way the world lives and do what the world wants and eat and drink what the world says and watch what the world wants us to watch. It can be tough. And without that light of Christ in our lives, then we are left in darkness. The Apostle Paul, if you remember in 2 Timothy, he even speaks to Timothy and says, Timothy, fan into flames that light that you once had. Fan into flames so that flame will burn brighter again. Sometimes we need to come before the Lord and say, Lord God, I'm sorry that I'm losing my saltiness. I'm sorry that I'm hiding my light under a basket. Sorry that I want to conform to the world's way rather than letting you transform me to go your way. But of course we know in this that there's good news. There's encouragement. Because when Jesus says, you are the light of the world, when he tells us that we're the light of the world, go and shine, he's saying that because first of all, John 8, Jesus said, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me, Jesus said, will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Even when we struggle in our faith, even when we're heading sometimes towards the darkness, away from the light, we remember that Jesus is now the light on the hill. Just as the temple in Jerusalem used to be the light, Jesus was lifted up on a cross. He is now the light in our lives, crucified and died for each one of us. Now that beacon of hope, beacon of life, beacon of light for each one of us, drawing all people to himself. And Jesus said, John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish. Salt preserves, shall not perish, but have eternal life. Jesus is the light in our lives. Jesus is the salt of the earth. And that is the good news that we know. Now, I was talking to somebody earlier about different accents, and I sound different, okay? You may not have noticed it, but I sound different. And I can't do an American accent, let alone a Minnesota accent, you betcha, or all that stuff. So I don't blend in, okay? And it gets tough sometimes. I just need to walk into a restaurant and they ask me what beverage I want, and I ask for a glass of water. They're like, oh, you want a glass of water? Yes, I sound different. I sound distinctive, is how I like to put it. And remember I said that word earlier on. We've got to think about how we can be distinctive as salt and light, distinctive as forgiven people, distinctive as children of our Heavenly Father. So what are some of these practical ways that we can indeed let our light shine out? How can we indeed be a caring, a sharing, a serving, and a reaching church here at Gloria Dei? Well, Jesus said, you are the salt of the earth. Disciples are like salt because they have that preserving influence. Salt makes things tasty. different, taste better often? Do we have that impact on people around about us so that things taste a bit different? Do we have that distinctive influence, that preserving influence on our communities, on our families, on our neighborhoods? And then Jesus said, you are the light of the world. And Jesus gives us both a great compliment, saying we're the light of the world, and a great responsibility. Ephesians 5:8 says, for one time you were in darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of light. We're children of the Heavenly Father, so now we walk as children of light. You see, if we're followers of Jesus, then we will of course want to naturally walk in the light. And so Jesus said, let your light shine out before men, so they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Just like I needed those security lights around my home, so I could see, so I could feel secure. Light is needed today, because our world in many places is in darkness, without hope, without that sense of security. And Jesus wants us to live a life like a light that will attract people to Jesus. Remember, I said a key thought is being a distinctive Christian. So just some ideas, how can we be salt and light? Well, remember, the first thing is keep walking in the light. Jesus said, those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Does that describe our discipleship, our ongoing walking with the Lord, that we are hungering and thirsting, just like we thirst for a cold drink on a hot day, or just like we thirst for a hot meal on a cold day like this? Does that describe our hungering and our thirsting for righteousness? So I encourage you, keep growing in your faith. Keep worshipping together. Keep being in the Word, in the Bible. Keep praying and praying together as a group. And then I'd encourage you to look to serve in some way, both here and in the community. A couple of weeks' time, like the 5th of March, remember, we're going to, as a church, we've signed up to go to Feed My Starving Children. Why are we doing that? Because it's a chance just to get together and try mission out together and do something as a church together. But I'd encourage you, as you think about light and salt, thinking and praying about, well, how am I loving? How am I caring for my family members and my neighbours? How am I treating people? Am I loving my co-worker? Am I loving the poor and those people in need? I'd encourage you, work as hard as you can at being the best parent, the best husband, the best wife, the best co-worker, the best manager, whatever it is. But I encourage you, be praying. Praying for your leaders. Praying for your leaders both locally and also nationally and internationally as well. Get involved in something in the community. Get involved in a non-profit. Help especially to take care of God's world. Shine out as a light in these different places. And keep praying to the Lord. Lord, how do you want me to be salt? How do you want me to be light in my situation? I can't do that, that, and that. But Lord, maybe you want me to do that. And remember, we are not alone. If you take one of those light bulbs out now, which is shining brightly, don't take it out straight away because it might be hot. But if you take that out and then you stand there within your hand, well, we know, right? It's not going to get bright at all because it needs electricity. And so Jesus is saying, be salt and light. And he said that to the disciples. But he also said, I will not leave you. I am with you always. You'll be empowered with the Holy Spirit to strengthen you so that you can serve. So again, I'd encourage you, ask the Lord God, please fill me with your Spirit. Please give me the strength to be a distinctive Christian. Lord God, I'm struggling with this stuff. Please change me so I can be going your way. Jesus said, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good deeds and may glorify your Father in heaven. And my prayer is that we as individuals and we as a church here at Gloria Dei will be used to lead people from darkness to light. So they might see those things that we do and notice the difference in us and see Jesus through those things through us.